The Duggar family drama started with revelations that Josh Duggar, the oldest child from TLC's 19 Kids and Counting, molested 5 girls when he was between 14 and 15 years old. 4 of the 5 girls were his sisters. The story only got worse when the parents spoke out on television, and then it snowballed even further when 2 of the sisters gave interviews also on television. This story is just another reminder that sexual abuse is still too often hidden, mishandled, and underreported. Celebrity life coach and relationship expert Patrick Wanis is here to help me dissect the Duggars. Hello, Patrick. Welcome to the docket.
Thank you, Seema.
So, start me off by telling me, what is your opinion of Josh Duggar as a professional?
Well, the first thing is, here you have someone who's actually projecting. Most of us in the public say Josh Duggar is a hypocrite. It actually goes a lot deeper than that. I refer to it as projection. That means I hate in other people what I subconsciously hate in myself.
So you're saying that we're all pedophiles?
Well, Josh, no, not at all. The difference here between Josh Duggar and you and I, when we say we don't like pedophiles, we don't make that our platform.
Right.
Unless we were victims. What Josh Duggar did was he said gays, lesbians, etc. are all pedophiles. And so he takes it a step further. And here he is saying, look, what I did was inexcusable, but I've been forgiven. But he doesn't show forgiveness for anyone else. And he never speaks about the most important thing, his own victims. He talked a lot about himself. He was very self-absorbed. Talks about me, my parents, what I need. I could have ruined my life. But he doesn't say how he's harmed the victims or how he sought redemption.
Sure,
so,
Patrick, I think that's great. That's so interesting. I'm so glad you brought this issue of projection up, because let's look at Josh Duggar. He's a conservative activist, he's very religious, and that idea of projection, this is something that no one's spoken about up until now. So thank you for your insight. So just take us a little further with how you think Josh Duggar has appropriately or inappropriately addressed the molestation charges.
I think the first thing that no one or most of us fail to recognize is when he was 14 and 15, he went to his parents 3 times, 3 separate occasions, and said, I have done this. Which means even as a child, he recognized it was wrong. He was asking for help. No one helped him. Then the parents chose to keep it quiet, to seal it, to protect it, or protect him, and not place any emphasis and care and concern on the victims. So when he becomes an adult, he pushes it under the rug, or he literally pushes it into his subconscious and says, I'm going to project onto other people my hatred for pedophilia because I can't admit to myself that I engaged in that same behavior.
Oh yeah, that's completely fascinating. But Patrick, let me ask you this. Do you think, in your professional opinion, that this situation would have been more repairable had it been addressed when Josh was 14, 15, 16 years old?
So you're asking 2 separate questions. One, which is,
go for it.
They're fair questions. One is it reparable? And in most cases, unfortunately, very few abusers ever become completely cured. We don't even use that word.
Wow.
What we try to do is to help the abuser to either manage, control, contain, push down the sexual attraction to children. So there are actually a lot of people who are in healthy adult relationships and unfortunately might still have a sexual attraction to children, but they learn to contain it. And in some cases, yes, there's even medication administered to prevent that drive from occurring.
Okay, so Patrick, let me ask you another question, and this is just all so interesting, but do you agree that when the parents make statements about Josh doing something and having bad judgment, it's different than touching a girl who's 12, 13 years old as opposed to touching a 5-year-old? Because a 5-year-old is not someone that any of us look at as a sexual being.
Look, obviously the parents are going to do whatever they can to try and downplay it, deflect, to say, look, this was nothing. And they were coached by someone. In fact, it's the same person that coaches Mike Huckabee. I don't know if he told them to say this, but someone taught them the phrase, it was improper touching. It's inexcusable but not unforgivable. It just happened for a few seconds.
Okay, so what do you think? Now let's move on to the parents. What is your professional opinion of how the parents have addressed this situation?
Very poorly, very incorrectly. It's damaging to them, it's damaging to the family. It's also very damaging, above all, very damaging to victims of sexual abuse. You cannot get on national television and say, I know my son at age 15 touched, molested, abused, whatever word you're going to try and downplay, a 5-year-old, and that was simply improper touching. It's nothing, she wasn't aware.
Right.
That's very damaging to victims of sexual abuse, because victims of sexual abuse without a lot of professional help and counselling and proper processes will be damaged and tainted for life. It affects them in so many ways. I could spend half an hour to tell you how they are affected. And the parents just washed it away and said it was nothing. And that's not fair. And it's very damaging and really nasty to do that to victims of abuse. They already did that by saying, you know what, if you're gay, there's a chance that you're going to molest children. That's a lie. There's no statistics to support that. So what they did was very damaging to the family, and they notice what else they did. They just talked about empathy for Josh and empathy for themselves. They never showed or expressed deep empathy and concern for the victims themselves.
Patrick, it has been an absolute pleasure. Your insight is invaluable. Please come back and see us again.
Thank you, Seema.
Absolutely.